All right, welcome back to episode 2 of Save It for the Podcast. I'm your host, Colin, with arms wide open, Lucero. I'm here to welcome my co-host along with me. If you could please introduce yourself, fellas.
My name is Mason Tabet. I am the ex-host. I was excommunicated from the church of hosting podcasts. So I've just kind of been demoted to co-host, but also we're kind of in a building stage of this podcast still, so we'll see how that goes.
There's definitely power struggle.
Oh yeah, definitely. Me and Colin are at each other's throats right now for hold of the main mic.
And I'm Andrew McMillan, and I am not in any sort of contest over the main mic.
Shut the fuck up.
Kind of just hanging out, man. Just trying to share my views with everybody, harass everybody, rant into a microphone.
He's actually very humble. The main fights are just like me and Mason just want Andrew to take the initiative and just grab the host mic from us. He's so full of good thoughts. Andrew, if you would like to be the host anytime.
Good choice.
Please.
No, we have some special content coming up for all of you podcast listeners that I think you'll enjoy Andrew being the host of.
Yeah, it'll be fun, guys. I promise.
That is to be announced at a later date, though.
I don't want to make any promises, but Haley Joel Osment said has his book open. He has his calendar open for the foreseeable future. So we'll look into that.
We're looking at him as a future sponsor of the podcast. I may not be the host, but I'm still the producer of this podcast.
I want to be clear that Haley Joel Osment doesn't really have any set thing he's working on, so it's going to change from week to week.
Yeah.
He's kind of a freelance artist.
Yeah, so we kind of have to get our entire idea done within that week of him being open and available to work with us. And if we can't, then we kind of just miss that opportunity altogether because he's all over the place right now.
Haley, if you're listening, we appreciate the support. All right, so the first topic we were talking about was a time that our parents acted irrationally. They may have maybe not have thought ahead. They were too angry or something like that, thinking about something, and they jumped to conclusions.
So I actually have a pretty good one about that. That led to me see, but they jumped to conclusions, and I still ended up getting bit in the ass for it, right?
Oh yeah, no.
So this actually overlaps. There was a middle school dance that was happening, but then instead I decided not to go.
Yeah.
To this dance, I just wanted to go and hang out with my friends and stuff, and we were just gonna go hang out and do whatever.
Drugs, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, see, and then this is where it gets real, is because then my parents, they go to pick me up, and I'm like, oh, I'm not there at the dance.
Fucked up, unfortunately.
And then they're like, oh, well, what were you doing? And literally, we were just skating. And just being not even hoodlums, we weren't even doing hood rat shit. We were just skating and hanging out and having wholesome family fun. And then my parents just decided, oh well, I should probably check his phone. And then it all went down from there. Yeah, it got dark.
What was on your phone?
What was the mysterious things that were on
the nudes?
God, dude, I hope so. Just
your own nudes?
Just a little
nudes?
Of just 12-year-old me, just hard in front of a. In my bathroom mirror.
Just holding various objects.
For size comparison.
Holding an airsoft gun, trying to look gangster. I took some pictures like that when I was younger. If you guys can find them on the internet, please send them to me.
If you can find those on the internet, throw away your computer because Mason's 12 years old. Those should not be on the internet.
No. My dick isn't out, but I'm holding an airsoft gun, trying to look like a thug or something.
Wait, do you have others with your dick out, though?
No. God, no.
Bummer.
I actually specifically remember not taking any pictures of myself when I was younger because I was just that's how I look? I look pretty fucking stupid. And if I did, edit those photos for me, please. Put a funny tagline. Put me on Adam Sandler's face on the copy of Spanglish. Go nuts on them because I even don't know that those photos exist.
I had frosted tips at one point. It was not good. I really wanted frosted tips, too. It wasn't my parents made me do it or anything. I was like, I want to get highlights. I want to get frosted tips. That shit's cool. I'm going to look like NSYNC. And I did not look like NSYNC at all.
You saw Guy Fieri in passing and you're just that guy's pretty cool. That guy lives a laid-back lifestyle.
Hey, man, I think everybody's hair choices, like, at that age, like, just, like, you're not held accountable for what happened then, okay? Because that wasn't you.
I remember my parents having a strong say in my choices and in choices of style and hairstyle. So, like, I never ever got, like, the long... I can honestly say I was one of those kids, you know, that liked the Black Parade all 3 years of middle school. I was fully devout to Blink-182, My Chemical Romance. But my parents never let me get the long hair. So it was always, like, my hair was always fully cut short. It was a one all around. It was really tight. It was, like, a really tight haircut. And I remember being really sad, and I was like, oh man, like, this haircut fucking sucks. Like, I want the long hair that all the cool kids have.
It's probably
I want to be like Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I want to be sad like Kurt Cobain.
Like Carl Cobain.
His brother.
His less sad, less suicidal brother.
But less successful brother.
Ooh.
Yeah,
he was in a band not called Nirvana. He was in a band called...
Bliss or something like that.
Yeah.
It was, like, not as good as Nirvana. It was just, like, less happy than Nirvana. Bliss.
And Nirvana was such a happy band. Grunge is such a happy genre of music.
Yeah, and then my parents also had like a really big say in, like, what I dressed. So if you see me in middle school, I look really, really stupid.
Ooh.
But my mom's like, oh, like, you know, parents aren't, like, looking, whenever they look at the dress, it's just like, oh, like, that fits really well. Like, it's never like, you look cool. It's just like, that hangs on your waist. That covers your body.
That properly fits your waistline.
Yeah, like, that keeps you warm. And you're just like, yeah, but I look fucking awful in these Costco
I look like
jeans.
a fucking loser, Mom.
Yeah, like, you think I'm gonna have all the cool friends if I roll in with Kirkland brand jeans and DC shoes? Like, no, I'm gonna.
Hey, DC shoes were the shit, man.
I don't think they ever
were.
The shit.
They were at one point when like forever ago. I was like, damn, I want some DC shoes. I want the ones that look like skaters wear them, cause then I'll look like a skater. Even though I sucked at skating.
Yeah, no, I was actually pretty bad at skating too. But I remember, like, to me, like, DC shoes nowadays are kind of like the cool guy that peaked in middle school.
Oh yeah.
Like,
that's who wears DC shoes now. Is the guy who peaked in middle school who thought DC shoes were cool.
He probably also has a Monster Energy drink hat.
Ooh,
yeah,
God.
Like,
fucking dead.
Like denim shorts. He has, like, the jacket that has, like, the repeated logo, like multiple logos of. Like,
oh yeah, it's usually like Fox Racing. He doesn't even ride motorbikes.
Or Metal Militia.
Metal Militia.
Metal Militia's a good Monster Energy drink.
Monster Energy drinks, Metal Militia, Fox Racing, DC shoes, and...
Or maybe someone with, like, Rockstar. Like, they go to the...
Oh yeah, Rockstar
yeah,
too.
sometimes, yeah.
Rockstar,
energy
the fucking ghetto loser fucking motocross kids wear Rockstar shit. All the cool kids wear Monster.
The 21-year-old kids that still date middle schoolers, like, wear stuff like that. Like, they're like...
Well, because the middle schoolers think it's a good look. That's why.
My girlfriend's still in school, man.
Yeah, like, my girlfriend's, like, real smart. She's a genius. She's gonna go with places, like...
Yeah, and then she grows up, like... She starts smoking in, like, 7th grade. She just becomes, like, one of those chicks who hangs out at the skate park and doesn't even skate and just tries to bum weed off of people. Man, this is a very specific type of person.
It feels like we're targeting people now. We're actually...
these aren't general statements. Like, we're all thinking about a person in the back of our head.
These are very vague statements. But at the same time, they hit a little...
It's
close
relatable.
to home. Yeah, they hit a little close to home.
We were all that guy wearing that monster hat at one point.
We're all that guy currently now. You know, sometimes you just drive past a middle school and you're just like, those are better days.
So my parents... they did a lot of backwards things. So the most notable of which, I used to love Pokemon. I still love Pokemon. Pokemon's great. Like, I was OG. I used to watch the TV TV show. I used to have, like, all 150 of the original Pokemon cards. Like,
oh wow,
I was in that ass. I was in that ass.
I was in deep.
And my parents were both, like, very conservative Christian parents. And one day, someone on Focus on the Family Radio, whoever the fuck said this, was like, hey, Pokemon and Japanese anime is of the devil. It's demonic. And you can't let your kids play it or do it or anything. And I'm like, what? What? Why? Like, I was allowed to do it, like, 2 seconds ago, but now these people are saying, like, I can't? That doesn't make any sense. And my mom, she took my Pokemon cards and threw them away. Just one morning, without me knowing about it, she just took them and just threw them in the trash, all of them. Because I would wake up every morning and I would look at my Pokemon cards and like go through them and stuff, and it was super cool. And just one day I woke up and they weren't there.
You woke up and there was a big bonfire in the middle of your floor.
No, they just weren't there. She knew where I kept them. She took them and she threw it away. And to this day, she still denies it. It hurt, man. Thanks a lot, Mom.
I held the whole collector's pack.
Like, I still bring it up because I'm still fucking salty about it.
Hey, my parents got rid of a Pokemon thing of mine, too. They, my parents had a yard sale, and, I had a bunch of, those, Pokemon, plush toys, and, my parents were being shitty, and they're like, you can say, they put all my toys in this bin, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, you can save, 3 from this bin, and then
What
we're
the
selling
fuck?
the rest. Yo, it gets worse. And okay, so I assumed they had just taken. I had this big green bin that I kept all my plush toys in, but I had toys that were just for looking at on my shelf, including this plush Charmander.
The
exactly,
toys.
the chosen few, the monolith,
The trophies of stuffed animals.
yeah, Mount Olympus of toys were up there on my bookshelf, and so I had assumed that all of those were still on my shelf.
Yeah.
And so I just saved a couple of bullshit toys from that bin, and then my parents ended up selling all of it, and I go back into my room and I look and I'm like, wow, all of my starter Pokemon plush toys, all of them gone, sold for 50 cents each.
Wow.
What a fucking world.
Why do our parents hate Pokemon so much?
Other thing is where do they adjust the price rate for 50 cents? I feel my parents don't understand pricing or something. They're just anything they go is they just turn a blind eye and they're like, oh yeah, that's $1. And you're like, oh, we just sold our TV for $1. We just sold our MacBook for $10.
We got that quick cash though.
Yeah, we came out on top. We have a cool $10. That could get us a cup of lemonade for lunch today. But no, that is pretty fucked, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Somebody at some point on Christian radio was like, yeah, Pokemon's fucked, dude. You can't let your kids do it or they're going to be into witchcraft.
Yeah, my parents just sold my toys. They didn't. No radio personality had to tell them to be shitty to me.
I was God just came to them in their mind.
On a much lighter note, though, I will say, something my mom does that's super corny that I kind of halfway like, kind of halfway fucking hate, is every single year, anytime there's a birthday in our family, anything, she'll whip out the candles and she'll put them on a cake. She always makes us cakes for every single one of our birthdays, me, my brother, my sister, whenever my sister's home, because she lives in a different state. She always makes us cakes and shit, and she always puts the candles on there, and she'll light them and stuff, and every single time she gets the fucking joke candles that you can't blow out. She'll get the ones, and you can see, too, when you light them, they, crackle, and they, pop and stuff, because the things that are in them to keep them lit.
I was gonna say, they actually pop a bit.
Yeah, they pop, and every single time we're like, Mom, we know you probably got, the fake candles. Please, just don't do it. And she's like, no. Not this time. No, I'm done with that. And every single time she laughs her ass off when we're sitting there struggling to try and blow out the fucking candles, dude. So, it's pretty frustrating. But at the same time, it's pretty funny. My brother had his birthday recently, a week or two ago, actually. Happy birthday again, Mitch. And before the candles were even lit, he went to go get a cup of water so that way he could take the candles off of the cake when he couldn't blow them out and put them in the water, because that's the only way you could put them out, was just putting the candles in the water. And Mitchell already was like, Mom, I know you're going to try and fuck with me. And it's just, oh God, it's the worst, but it's also a really corny joke that I kind of like from her. So, but I'll never tell her that. So, I love you, Mom. You fucking idiot.
I remember my parents were pretty much the kings and queens of punishments. They always try to come up with some really labor-intensive punishment that fit something that I did. Granted, I've been suspended from school once in my entire life. It was entirely my fault, but it wasn't planning to do evil, it just happened. So I remember when I was in middle school, you know, like the Swiss Army knives, like they're originally like they're pliers.
Yeah.
They're pretty much pliers, and they have like the tools.
Yeah.
But it's not even a knife. It's not a weapon at all. I honestly don't think you could really like harm anyone.
Yeah,
with
there's
a
like corkscrews on it and
yeah.
stuff like
There's
that.
like a tiny knife too. It's like not even sharp. It just has like a pointed end.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember like I had that in my bag. And I kept it in there just in case something happened, because I was in my head. I was middle school. I was like Bear Grylls. I was like, I need to be prepared.
What if I get trapped in the wilderness?
Yeah, I was like, what if I get
to
locked in the bathroom or something?
Cut
like
down
that.
a tree.
And I gotta like, yeah. And I was like, I have my Swiss Army knife just in case people will think I'm cool because I'm prepared. Like the prepared kid's always the cool kid.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, but I remember bringing it down, and I was reaching for something in my bag, and I happened to see it, and it had like this weird coat on it where it was like, it was my sister's Swiss Army knife, so it had pink camo on it. But like I pulled it out, and like my friends were like, "Hey, like what's that in your bag?" And I pulled it out, and I was like, "Oh, like it's a Swiss Army knife." And then like I was like showing them the pliers, and I was like just showing them like the pliers, and then they're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Like that's a pretty cool thing." And it had a knife attachment too, and they're like, "What's on the thing?" And like I pulled out, I showed them like the corkscrew, I showed them like the screwdriver,
Yeah.
and then the last one was a knife, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this one's like a little knife attachment too." And I was like, "I don't really know." I was like, "I don't know why I would use that. It's like a cheap knife." And I put it down, and there was some girl. Her name was Sydney. Sydney, if you're listening to this, fuck you. I really hope you're in a bad place right now. Not like a bad place you can't get over, but like a bad hump. I hope you're going through a speed bump right now. But I should have known. I should have just flushed that thing down the toilet immediately. I thought she was joking me. I thought like she had a complex humor I couldn't understand. She looked me in the eyes and she said, "I'm gonna tell on you. I'm telling the principal. Stay here." And the bell rang, and I was like, what a wacky sense of humor. What a zany sense of humor. I was like, dang, like she's really paving the way. And I remember I was in my second period class, and it was like my gifted class for gifted English. And I was sitting there. It just introduced a new person to our class, and I was talking to them, and I was making a joke about how funny I was. And immediately, like the vice principal came and like snatched me up, and they're like, "Hey, you need to come with me." And I used to be pretty good friends with the vice principal at that point, and I was like, "Oh heck yeah, we're gonna hang out, Keith." And he was like, "No," he's like, "We're not doing that." And then he's like, "Just wait till we get there, you'll see." And when I got to the principal's office, I saw all the security officers were in one room, the principal was in another room, and the vice principal had a chair already set up. And they sat me down immediately, and then they looked at me, and they said, "Do you or do you not have a knife on school grounds?" And immediately, like, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't strong-willed, wasn't a child, I wasn't like hard-faced as I am now. I broke down. I fucking started bawling. I was crying my eyes out, the hardest I've ever cried in my life. You've never seen a middle school boy cry as hard as I did. But I was like, yes, and I immediately opened my bag, my book bag, and I dumped all the contents on the table, and like a whole bunch of shit like they didn't need to see came out of there. Like a whole bunch of like old like applesauce packets and stuff like that. And, like, there was like, "Is that a half-drinking carton of milk?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I was like still crying, and I was like, "Yeah, it is. I was gonna finish that." And also the Swiss Army knife came out, and you could tell by one of the security officers' face. They were looking at it and they're like, "This is what we're bringing this kid in for, like this small thing," but they made it seem like I was fucking like I just ran through like airport security with like a gun or something, and like they took a picture of it with a scanner. They put it down on the scanner, and they're like, "Yeah, this knife is above 3 inches. It's considered a weapon." And I was like thinking in my head, like, who the hell is sitting behind there like, "It's not a dangerous weapon if it's not bigger than 3 inches. Like, anything smaller than that, they're not doing any damage." But anyways, it just beat the 3-inch rule. Yeah, it just beat the 3-inch rule. And I remember I was crying so hard. They like looked at me and they're like, "This kid is really, really pathetic.
This kid couldn't hurt anyone.
Let's not expel him. Let's just suspend him for a week." I remember my parents coming, and my mom did not say a single word to me. She said, "I don't think I'm fit to handle this punishment. This is something your stepdad will have to look into." And this was a time I was living in the reservation. I wasn't actually living in town. The reservation is a desolate place. I'll just say that.
No holds barred.
No, anything goes in the reservation, we used to say. If it's in the reservation, it's pretty much the wild, wild west. But yeah. So
almost literally.
Yes, it is all desert. any amount you put into like your
Fuck
house.
you, United States.
Yeah, any effort you put into your house, immediately it's still gonna look like shit because it's a reservation. You could put grass on the reservation and people make fun of you because they're like, oh, what are you doing there? Like, it still looks like shit. You still live in a shitty area. But yeah, so basically, it was the hardest I've ever worked in my life, and I've worked 2 jobs at a time. But this whole week I was suspended from fucking sunrise to sunset was the hardest I've ever worked in my life. I basically had to move one big pile of fucking sand with a wheelbarrow to another location. That's all it was. It was like, break all those rocks over there and put them over there. And once you're done with that, come see me. Needless to say, I didn't get done with like 1/4 of it. There was so much sand. We live in sand. He's like, get all that sand and move over there. And I was like, hey, like, we live in sand. Like,
This is all sand.
We look around you, sand for miles.
Where
like,
does the sand stop and where does it start? Which
these are-
ones do you want me to move?
This is where dreams come to die, like, and it turns into sand. Needless to say, I learned a lot. Mostly, middle school fucking sucks. And also, Swiss Army knives are dangerous weapons. Get them out of the kids' hands. If you play Pokemon, you're probably gonna go to hell.
So I guess that just about wraps it up for this podcast. I'm the excommunicated host of the podcast, Mason Tabet, wishing you all a good night.
I'm Andrew McMillan. Mom, if you're listening, I know you're not, but I don't forgive you for selling my plush Charmander toy. You can deny it all you want. I know you did it. Have a good night, guys.
This is your current and best host to ever host
Damn.
singer for the podcast. That's user submitted. Thank you very much. Any closing words? I really respect my parents. I love you guys. If you guys are listening, also Sydney, if you're listening to this, I hate your guts. I really hope you really come to see what you've done to me. But otherwise, thank you for everything that you've done. This has been our podcast. Cool.